Crazy weekend, huh?
What happened?
Okay, how much is this gonna cost me?
What's going on? Did you bail me out?
That's kind of complicated.
All right. What does that mean?
Well, looking through your camera roll here.
Don't go through that, please.
Friday, you were in a pretty tough spot until you got shut down by the FDIC.
After that, we didn't know what to do with you for a second, but there are some fun photos in here.
What about those VCs who banked with me? What do they want to do?
Oh, they,
What, they're on my side, right?
well, let's look.
It's apocalypse time, folks. Get all your money out of SVB. Do it now. Where's the Fed? Why isn't the Fed stepping in here?
I thought we were libertarian. Don't we hate the government?
I pay you to tweet and nothing else.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, but then after some due diligence, we created an emergency lending program for banks that might need withdrawals, and the FDIC is making sure that everyone who deposited in your bank will get their cash back from our deposit insurance fund.
Like President Biden said in this voice memo.
Folks, you will be able to get your money out of the SUV.
Sir, it's SV.
Hey, look, I didn't ask for your pronouns, Jack.
So this isn't a bailout that I'm gonna have to pay for again?
Well, no, because the money's coming from the deposit insurance fund.
But where's that money coming from? Well, it's coming from the Treasury, so...
So it is something I'm paying for.
No, there's over like $100 billion in it already. You're fine.
Well, yeah, but if this keeps happening, then what am I supposed to do?
The people who are
What do you
losing
mean?
are the ones that invested
How am I
in the
supposed to know that it happened?
Why is my stock down today?
I am not paying for his medical bills again.
You're not. It's the ones who invested in the company that are going to be losing the most money.
Too big to fail, baby.
Well, that's pretty accurate of what's happening here, but what if they want the banking system to collapse? We're going to be talking about that in just a little bit. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Zukradowski here of WeAreChange.org, and we have a huge, absolute plethora of crazy news to get into, as of course it looks like James O'Keefe is now officially back. We're going to be talking about that plus a lot more, as there's a lot of other strange news surrounding Dr. Fauci that we're going to be getting into, as well as our main focus of today's video is, of course, the axes of evil and many corporate media pundits just chomping at the bits, trying to start the next global world war conflict. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all here on this independent media outlet. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is by Dan Toomey. I haven't heard of this guy before, but his latest video describing what's happening with the banking crisis is right on the money. So we are going to be linking his YouTube channel down in the description below so you could check out more of his work. But truly, genius, comedic, very good work that he definitely put a lot of effort in that we definitely want to shout out and highlight. This, as of course, in our modern society, we need comedy more than ever as things are hitting the fan. And they definitely did hit the fan for former Project Veritas head and founder James O'Keefe, who was kicked out of his own organization, and today just announced the O'Keefe Media Group launching a video and a website with an email list and paid memberships in order to start a new guerrilla news organization after being kicked out of the one that he originally started. Now, Project Veritas actually asked for James O'Keefe to come back after the board kicked him out, and it looks like James is definitely not going to be coming back anytime soon, as he just launched a new endeavor under the O'Keefe Media Group name. Now, what will O'Keefe do? What will he expose? Well, only time will tell this, as there's a lot of things to expose, as Fox Nation just launched a brilliant, absolutely hilarious expose of the Jussie Smollett hoax, which, if you remember, was specifically when a D-rate actor decided to star and participate in his own special Oppression Olympics, which the corporate media, of course, was widely promoting. They took Smollett's made-up story of people punishing him because he was gay and black, and of course ran with it and told everyone they better not dare to even question this story, or they're just as bad as the two big white MAGA supporters that beat up Jussie Smollett 2 o'clock in the morning in a democratically heavy city, recognizing him in the snowfall as he was going to get subways. Yeah, that was all a lie, meant to, of course, divide people, destroy race relations, and have people fighting each other rather than actually looking at the true source of their problems. And this video by Fox Nation exposing step by step what happened here is just absolutely hilarious. Here's a little small clip of it.
I held the blow because I didn't want to hurt him, of course. So I made it look real, but I held it. And we started tussling, moving around, and then I threw him to the ground. He wanted it to look like he fought back. that was very important for him because he said, hey, don't just beat my ass, make it look like I'm fighting back and whatnot. So we did that, and then I threw him to the ground. And after I threw him to the ground, he had no bruise. I wanted it to look more real. So then I threw him to the ground. After I threw him to the ground, I used my knuckle and gave him a noogie. So I went like this. Why did I do that? To give him a scar, to give him a mark, to make it look real, like he really did get his ass beat. After I did that, I fake kicked him. I don't know what he was doing. I wasn't paying attention.
That's where I came around with the bleach, the infamous bleach in the hot sauce bottle, poured it on his shirt. Then I finally put the rope around his face. I did not put it around his neck. I just placed it on his face, and that's when we took off.
Definitely worth the $3,500 that they were paid. And let's not forget that they would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those pesky independent journalists and people asking questions about the story that absolutely made no sense at all that the corporate media was trying to, of course, convince you of. They do that a lot. They do a lot of PR marketing stunts that are absolutely fake. This, as Dr. Fauci is now in the news, not for reasons that you might think, but now he allegedly helped a collapsing woman at a DC white tie dinner. And the Boston Globe, People, TMZ, and the Independent, all known suspects for just regurgitating lies of the establishment, are running with this story of Fauci being a hero, coming to the rescue. And I don't know, just like saying, hey, calm down. Like 2 women passed out. He just walked by. He's like, are you okay? That's like, he ain't doing nothing. Like, come on. And then for me, this stinks to high heaven as a manufactured event. From my own personal opinion, I'm automatically thinking about the Elvis effect and the people that were paid to, of course, faint during his concerts. I'm thinking about the Obama fainting incident, which was also staged as a way to, of course, bolster PR. This, as almost everything this man has virtually said to the American public, has been a lie, and now he should be in the news, but for different reasons. This, as Robert Kennedy Jr. just recently came out and has accused Dr. Fauci of being in charge of developing bioweapons at the Pentagon since 2002. This, as he is saying that 3 viruses leaked in 2014, and when that happened, the program was moved to the Wuhan lab in China, originally getting their funding from the Patriot Act, which funneled $2.2 billion through the NIH. That went to Anthony Fauci. That specifically used it for bioweapons development, specifically doing gain-of-function work, making viruses and diseases more lethal, more transmissible, funneled billions of dollars into it. And if we really had a legitimate fourth estate, if we literally had a legitimate corporate media, we would be hearing and having more investigations into all of this so we could actually find out what's really going on here. As of course, in my opinion, this is definitely worth investigating. As of course, the corporate media, along with the Pentagon, can't stop talking about Elon Musk and how he could be a risk to U.S. security. I'm sorry, but the latest allegations from Robert Kennedy Jr. here, that right there, to me, deserves a lot more scrutiny and a bigger, more significant danger to national security than, of course, anything that Elon Musk is doing. But before getting into bigger national security news, especially when it comes to the larger theater of war unfolding right now in Ukraine, I wanted to tell you about LukeUnfiltered.com, because if you haven't signed up for it yet, what are you waiting for? We are almost done with our AMA, an AMA that was supposed to be one day, but because we had so many members, so many incredible human beings, so many of them, it literally took us 2 to 3 months to answer all of your questions. We're almost done now. I think we're going to be done by the end of today's special broadcast, only available for members, so tune in for that, as we're going to be launching a lot of really incredible, a lot of really fun projects that you guys are going to be a part of. We're going to be doing an in real life Miami meetup. To be a part of that, you got to be a member. And there's a lot of people. We love talking to each other. We love talking about solutions. We love talking about how we're going to be moving forward, the really fun things that we are all going to be a part of. And what better way to spend your time than by talking to other like-minded individuals and people through, of course, our forum and comment section, which has been absolutely incredible and filled with some really awesome human beings that are a part of this larger project. So if you haven't signed up for it yet, it's just 50 cents a day. You get a plethora of amazing things offered to you. Sign up right now. just by clicking the link down in the description below, and I will see you there right after this video with a special video just for members only. Now, if you haven't noticed and you haven't been paying attention, there's a big concerted effort in the United States to deliberately prolong and escalate the larger proxy war that's happening right now in Ukraine between the East and the West. This conflict got a lot more interesting, especially with the announcement of China, Iran, and Russia conducting military drills together. As of course, this is not a surprise. We've been talking about the larger geopolitical realignment of those countries for a very long time now, specifically standing up against the US petrodollar. But here in the United States, I think it's fair, especially with all the weapons and ammunition that we've been giving to Ukraine, that the situation doesn't look that favorable for either parties involved here because of the sure chance of total, mutual, assured annihilation. Now, again, this could unfold in many different ways, not just with, of course, rockets and weapons or nuclear weapons that everyone talks about, but also, of course, bioweapons and artificial intelligence weapons and weapons that attack our infrastructure. And again, why are we doing all of this? A lot of it doesn't make sense, as pointed out by the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, that came out and said, hey, Ukraine is not a vital interest for the United States, specifically detailing how, quote, getting entangled in a territorial dispute with Russia doesn't serve the best interest of the American people. And I think he makes a very compelling argument, especially when he says that there shouldn't be no blank check to a war-torn nation that is known for, of course, corruption. Now, DeSantis is being attacked a lot for his statements by the corporate media and also especially by a lot of rhinos, individuals like Mike Pence, that announced personally himself that there's, quote, no room for Putin apologists in the GOP, collectivizing, of course, you not being a neoconservative and wanting World War III to somehow being a Putin apologist, when, of course, those two correlations are not true at all. This as the United States has already spent $113 billion on this conflict when there is no end in sight to it. How's this conflict going to end? Well, it's not. It's being deliberately prolonged with the more weapons and ammunition that's being sent there. And at any moment and any time, there could be some kind of accident, there could be some kind of mishap that it can entangle more countries in this global conflict, just like we saw yesterday, where a Russian fighter jet and an American Reaper drone collided over international airspace outside of the Ukrainian territory in the Black Sea, as the United States has summoned the Russian ambassador there, as they're accusing of Russian fighter jets of deliberately launching fuel on the US Reaper drone and then deliberately trying to, of course, take it down. This as the drone crashed into the Black Sea, after what the United States says was the Russian fighter jet that clipped its propeller, as the United States is reporting a, quote, total loss of the aircraft. The United States is slamming the Russian fighter pilot as, quote, incompetent, unsafe, and unprofessional, and Russia has their own version of events, accusing the United States of a, quote, act of provocation, claiming that, of course, its fighter pilot did not knock the Reaper drone out of the sky, as Russia is trying to say that there was no contact made. And you have two different versions of events by two different countries who are essentially at war with each other. And who do you believe here? Well, it all depends on who you want to believe, with, of course, the absence of evidence. German jets were actually scrambled to intercept the Russian jet after this incident, and thankfully the situation didn't escalate more from here. This as, of course, Russia is preparing for a long haul of this conflict, as we're getting news reports today of the Russian army being replenished with 400,000 new contract service personnel members, which, of course, will be sent all around Ukraine to continue that larger conflict in that region. This as China on the international world stage has been trying to play peacemaker here, as of course for many weeks now, as we've been documenting, they've been coming to Ukraine and Russia demanding a ceasefire and an end to this conflict. This as the Chinese President Xi is planned to, of course, speak with Zelensky for the first time since this war broke out in the next few days. This as China had a lot of extensive business ties to Ukraine that were also pretty significant. This as China is doing a lot of the brokering and negotiations here, stepping up on the world stage, trying to take a major role in this entire situation, and of course at the same time trying to expand their sphere of influence, as of course China also brokered talks talks with Saudi Arabia and Iran. This is a quote, troubling development for the United States, as the two Middle Eastern countries just agreed to resume diplomatic relations, which is pretty big, especially since there's a larger cultural divide between the Sunnis and the Shiites, with China now coming in and brokering a peace deal over two countries that were supposed to fight each other. That's something that, of course, is significant and probably will have some kind of larger economic ramifications for the global world. All of this as China, Iran, and Russia are soon to conduct maritime military drills in the Gulf of Oman. This is according to the latest statements made by the Chinese defense minister on Wednesday, which, of course, deepens the cooperation between these nations and predominantly against the U.S. petrodollar. All of this as Sean Hannity on primetime national television on Fox News just came out and talked about how Russia, China, and Iran are, quote, the new axes of evil. The last time that term was used, we got into a war with Iraq, which Sean Hannity was very much for, and has created a bunch of utter chaos and devastation, not just for the people of Iraq, not just for the people of the United States, but even for America on the world stage, which received a major black eye from that entire incident based on trumped-up, made-up charges of weapons of mass destruction that were never really there. They knew that they weren't really there, and they still decided to launch a very costly, crazy endeavor that even is against the best interest of the United States, since it only empowered Iran and spurred the rise of Islamic terrorists in Syria, creating utter chaos, which I guess Sean Hannity has never apologized for, still keeps patting himself on the back of, and wants more war, more conflict, as he is berating the President of the United States for not going far enough when it comes to the larger proxy war between the United States and Russia, specifically demanding that the United States needs to retaliate for this drone incident immediately, and again, calling for more escalations here, along with chicken hawk neoconservatives like Lindsey Graham that never saw a war that they didn't like, with just hyperbolic, crazy people foaming at the mouth, calling for more state-sanctioned murder. And I think that's ridiculous, and I think we need to do the exact opposite of that. And if you agree, share this video with your friends and family members. It is more imperative than ever. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys actively watching and sharing these videos, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org. One more video coming your way right now on LukeUnfiltered.com. See you there.